They heard it crying under the dirt. Not loud. Not strong. Just like something that was never meant to survive. The soldiers walked away. They had done their job. Bury it deep, they said. No one must ever find it. But they made one mistake. Human was still there. And humans don't ignore cries in the dark. Deep inside an alien mining colony far from any known star routes, there was a place where silence felt heavy, like it was hiding something dangerous. The tunnels were long and dark, carved deep into a dead planet that had no sky, no wind, no life, only machines and orders and fear. The workers moved like shadows. No one spoke more than needed. No one asked questions. Because questions did not end well here. That day something changed. A signal had been detected beneath the lowest excavation level. Not metal. Not energy. Something alive. The commanders arrived fast. Too fast. That alone made the workers nervous. Nothing in this colony ever moved fast unless it was bad. The digging stopped. Machines powered down. Guards sealed the area. And then they found it. Buried inside layers of ancient rock. Untouched for thousands of years. An egg. But not like anything they had seen before. It was massive compared to normal life forms. Dark in color, yet faint lines of light moved across its surface like it was breathing. Alive in a way that made the air feel wrong. The alien commanders did not step close. They did not scan it for long. They did not celebrate the discovery. They looked at it once. And fear spread across their faces. This was not something they wanted. This was something they remembered. Something old. Something dangerous. One of them whispered a word that no one else understood. Dragon. The workers did not react at first. It meant nothing to them. But the commanders stepped back. And that told them everything. This was not a discovery. This was a problem. Orders came quickly. Seal the area. No records. No reports. Destroy. But before they could act, the egg moved. A small crack formed across its surface. Then another. The sound echoed through the tunnel, sharp and unnatural. Something inside was breaking free. The guards raised their weapons. The workers stepped back. No one breathed. The shell split open slowly. And from the darkness inside, a small creature slipped out. Shaking. Barely able to move. A hatchling. Its body was covered in dirt and fragments of shell. Its wings were folded tight against its back, too small to lift it. Its eyes opened slowly, clouded and unfocused. It made a sound. A broken cry. Not loud enough to echo. Not strong enough to demand attention. But enough. Enough to feel wrong in a place like this. The workers looked at each other. This was not a monster. This was something helpless. But the commanders did not see it that way. Their fear only grew. This was exactly what they feared. Not its strength, but what it could become. Dragons were not tools. They did not obey. They did not serve. And that made them dangerous. One command was given. Buried. No hesitation. No debate. The guards moved immediately. The hatchling barely reacted. Tried to move. Its small claws scratched against the ground, weak and slow. Another soft cry escaped it. Still no one stepped forward. The workers stood frozen, watching, as dirt was pushed over the small body. First lightly, then faster, then without care. The hatchling disappeared under the soil. Its cries became quieter, muffled, then almost gone. The ground was flattened, like nothing had ever been there. The commanders turned away. Satisfied. Problem solved. The guards followed. The machines powered back on. Work resumed. And just like that, it was over. Or it should have been. But one worker did not move. Ethan stood near the edge of the burial site. Still silent. His hands clenched tight. He had seen many things in this colony. Cruel things. Cold things. But this was different. Because it was not a threat. It was not a fight. It was something small. Something helpless. Something that never had a chance. He told himself to walk away. This was not his world. Not his decision. Not his problem. Humans here survived by staying quiet. By staying invisible. By not caring. But as he turned to leave, He heard it. The sound. So faint it almost did not exist. A weak scratch. Then another. Then a broken cry. From beneath the dirt, Ethan froze. His heart started beating faster. No one else reacted. No one else heard it. Or maybe they chose not to hear. But he did. And once he heard it, he could not ignore it. The sound came again. Weaker this time. Running out. Running out of air. Running out of time. Ethan looked around. The guards were gone. The commanders had left. The workers were already back to their tasks, pretending nothing had happened. The ground in front of him looked normal. Flat. Silent. But he knew it was not. Something was still alive down there. Something fighting. Something waiting. And for a moment, he stood there between two choices. Walk away. Or do something that could cost him everything. The sound came one last time. Barely there. Almost gone. And that was enough. Ethan took a step forward. Then another. And slowly, he moved toward the place where they buried it. Because some things, even in a place like this, a human cannot ignore. Ethan tried to walk away. He really tried. He turned his back to the burial ground and forced his legs to move toward the tunnel like every other worker. Hand steady. Face empty. That was how you survived here. That was how you stayed alive. This was not his war. Not his planet. Not his problem. He repeated those words in his head again and again like they could push the sound away. But they did not. Because the sound was still there. A soft scratch beneath the dirt. A tiny cry that barely reached the air. Something alive. Something struggling. Something fighting to breathe in a place where it was never meant to survive. Ethan slowed down. Just a little. Then stopped. His chest felt tight. His hands curled into fists. Around him the colony moved on like nothing had happened. Machines roared back to life. Metal hit stone. Orders echoed through the tunnels. No one looked at him. No one cared. Or maybe they did and chose silence. Because silence was safer. The sound came again. Quieter now. Forward. Like whatever was under there was losing strength. Ethan closed his eyes. Just for a moment. He told himself it would stop soon. That nature would take its course. That this was how things worked here. But deep inside something pushed back. Uncomfortable. This was wrong. Not dangerous wrong. Not illegal wrong. Just wrong in a way that made it hard to breathe. Another scratch. Then a weak cry. So small. So broken. Ethan opened his eyes. He looked around carefully. The side. Right side. Behind him. No guards. No commanders. No drones floating above. The cameras in this section had been shut down earlier during the discovery. They had not come back online yet. Just silence. Watching. Waiting. His heart started beating faster. Louder than it should. Like it was trying to warn him. Or push him. He took a step back toward the burial site. Then stopped again. This was a mistake. If anyone saw him, if anyone even suspected, there would be no explanation. No second chance. Humans were replaceable here. Disposable. And he knew that. He had seen it happen. So, the sound came again. So faint now it almost felt like imagination. But not quite. And that was enough. Ethan exhaled slowly. Then without thinking any further, he turned fully, and walked back to the spot. Each step felt heavier than the last. Like the ground itself was warning him to stop. But he didn't. He reached the center. The exact place where they had buried it. The dirt looked untouched. Flat. Silent. But he knew what was under it. He could feel it. Ethan dropped to his knees. The impact sent a dull shock through his legs, but he didn't react. His hands moved immediately. No hesitation now. No second thoughts. He started digging. Bare hands at first. Fingers pushing into the loose soil. Throwing it aside. Desperate. The dirt was cold. It scraped his skin. Got under his nails. But he didn't slow down. He couldn't. Every second mattered. Every breath that thing took under there was running out. The sound came again. Closer now. But weaker. So much weaker. Ethan's movements became faster. More aggressive. He didn't care about the pain. didn't care about the noise he was making. Nothing mattered except reaching it. His hands started to bleed. Small cuts opened across his fingers. But he kept going, digging deeper. The soil became heavier, more packed, harder to move. He needed something else. He reached to the side blindly, grabbed a metal tool left near the excavation site, and drove it into the ground. And again, breaking through the layers faster now, throwing dirt aside with wild force. His breathing became uneven, almost out of control. He knew he was running out of time. He could feel it. The cries had nearly stopped. Only faint movement now. Barely anything. Panic started to rise. Sharp and sudden. He dug harder. Faster. Like he could pull time back with his hands. The tool hit something. Not metal. Ethan froze for half a second. Then dropped the tool instantly. His hands went back into the hole. Careful now. Careful but still fast. His fingers brushed against something warm. Not like the cold dirt. Not like anything in this dead place. But just slightly. A weak reaction. But real. Ethan's heart slammed in his chest. He pushed the dirt away faster but more carefully now. Clearing space. Making room. His hands uncovered a small shape. Fragile. Barely moving. Covered in soil. The hatchling. Its body trembled under his touch. Its breathing was shallow. Uneven. Almost gone. But still there. Still fighting. Ethan stopped for just a moment. Staring at it. At what they had tried to erase. At what refused to die. And in that moment, everything changed. Because now, he wasn't just hearing it. He was holding it. And there was no walking away from that. Ethan pulled the last layer of dirt away with shaking hands. And there it was. The hatchling. Small. Too small for something that had caused so much fear. Its body lay half buried in the hole, weak and still. Covered in dust and broken pieces of shell. Its chest moved slowly. Each breath looked like it cost everything it had left. Ethan carefully slid his hands under it, lifting it out of the cold ground. The creature felt lighter than he expected. Fragile. Like it could break if he held it too tight. Its wings were pinned awkwardly against its sides. Crushed by the weight of the soil. Thin bones bent in ways that made his chest tighten. It should not have survived this. It was never meant to. Its head moved slightly. So uncertain. Its eyes opened just a little. Clouded. Struggling to focus. For a moment it looked past him. But confused. Like it didn't understand where it was. Or if it was even alive. Ethan held it closer without thinking. One hand supporting its body. The other brushing dirt away from its face. Careful movements. Gentle. Like he was afraid the world might break it again if he moved too fast. The hatchling made a soft sound. Not a cry this time. Something quieter. Weaker. But different. His head turned slowly. And then, it saw him. Not clearly. Not fully. But enough. Enough to stop moving. Enough to focus. Ethan froze. His breath caught in his throat. He had no idea what would happen next. This was a dragon. An unknown creature. Something the entire colony feared. Could react. Could lash out. Even in this weak state. He had seen dangerous things survive worse. But the hatchling did nothing like that. It did not struggle. It did not try to escape. Instead, it moved closer. Just a little. Its small body leaned into his hand. Resting against his palm. Like it was the safest place it had ever known. Ethan's fingers tightened slightly in shock. He did not expect that. The creature trusted him. Not because it understood the world. Not because it had a choice. But because he was the one who pulled it out of the dark. The one who gave it air. The one who stopped the silence. Its tiny claws curled weakly against his arm. Not gripping. Just holding. Like it didn't want to lose him. Ethan felt something shift inside him. Something quiet but powerful. This was no longer just a decision. No longer just a moment. This mattered now. In a way he could not explain. The hatchling's breathing slowed. Still weak, but steadier. It stayed close to him. Eyes barely open. But locked in his direction. Like it had already chosen. And then, a deep vibration rolled through the tunnel. Not natural. Not random. The kind that came from systems activating. From something waking up. Ethan's head snapped up. His body went still. For a split second everything was silent. Then the alarm started. But cutting through the entire colony. Red lights flashed across the walls, casting broken shadows across the tunnel. A voice echoed through the system. Precise. Unforgiving. Unauthorized life form detected. The words hit harder than any weapon. Ethan's grip tightened around the hatchling. His heart began to race. But out of control. They knew. Somehow, they knew. The system had found it. Detected its presence. Its energy. Its existence. And that meant only one thing. They were coming. Heavy footsteps echoed from distant corridors. Metal doors sealing and opening. Security units activating. Drones lifting into the air. The entire colony shifting from routine to threat response. All because of what he held in his hands. The hatchling reacted to the sound. Its body tensed slightly. A weak movement, but enough to show it felt the danger. It pressed closer to him again. Seeking warmth. Seeking safety. Like it understood what was coming even if it didn't know why. Ethan looked down at it. Then around the tunnel. Calculating. Thinking. But there was no real plan. No safe option. He had crossed the line the moment he started digging. Now there was no going back. The alarms kept screaming. Powder. Close. The sound of drones grew sharper. Close. Scanning. Searching. The air itself felt tighter. Like it was closing in. Ethan stood up quickly. Still holding the hatchling close to his chest. His hands adjusted slightly to support its broken wings. Careful not to hurt it more. His eyes moved across the tunnel. Looking for a way out. Anyway, the main paths would already be locked down. Guarded. But he needed something else. Something hidden. Something forgotten. The hatchling made another soft sound. But alive. Still alive. And that was enough. Ethan took a step forward. Then another. His movements quick now. Focus. Driven by something stronger than fear. Behind him the place where the hatchling had been buried lay open. The dirt scattered. The secret exposed. There was no hiding it now. No covering this up. The colony would see what had happened. And they would respond. But Ethan did not look back. Because in his arms, something that was meant to die was still breathing. And as the alarms screamed and the hunters closed in, one truth became clear. They had not just buried a creature. They had tried to bury something far more dangerous. Choice. And now, that choice was running through their colony. But Ethan stood in the middle of the tunnel with the hatchling in his arms and the alarms screaming around him. For a brief moment everything slowed. Not the world. Not the danger. Just his thoughts. Cutting through the noise. He had seconds. Maybe less. Leave it and survive. Walk away and pretend none of this happened. Drop it back into the dirt. Let the system handle the rest. Let the colony erase the mistake. Take it. Hold on to it. And become the target. Not just a worker anymore. Not invisible. Not safe. Hunted. Ethan looked down at the hatchling. Its body pressed weakly against him. Barely holding on. Barely alive. It did not understand the choice. It did not know the risk. It only knew one thing. This human pulled it out of the dark. Its small claws tightened just a little against his arm. Not strong, but enough. And that was it. That was all it took. Ethan did not think anymore. He did not weigh the outcome. Did not imagine the consequences. Just instant. Final. He adjusted his grip. Holding the hatchling close to his chest. Protecting it as best as he could. And he ran. No hesitation now. His boots slammed against the metal floor as he moved through the tunnel. Every step echoing. Every breath sharp and loud. The alarms followed him. Chasing him. Pushing him forward. Behind him the sound of activation filled the air. A sharp mechanical hum. Precise. Security drones. They lifted from their stations. Dozens of them. Eyes lighting up in red. Scanning. Locking. Tracking. A voice echoed again through the system. Clear. Final. Eliminate both. No warning. No delay. Just orders. Ethan did not look back. He did not need to. He could feel them. Closing in. Too fast. The tunnel ahead stretched long and empty. No cover. No escape. Just distance. And distance was not enough. The hatchling shifted slightly in his arms. A weak movement. Almost nothing. But then, something changed. Ethan felt it before he saw it. A strange warmth spreading from the small body against his chest. Not like normal heat. Not like fire. Something deeper. He glanced down for a split second. And froze. The hatchling was glowing. Faint at first. Soft lines of light running across its body. The same patterns that once moved across the egg. But now brighter. Stronger. But Ethan's heart skipped. He did not understand what he was seeing. The creature was barely breathing moments ago. Barely able to move. And now, the glow grew slowly. Not sudden. Not explosive. But steady. Like something waking up. Something old. Something that had been waiting. The air around them shifted. Subtle. But real. Like pressure building. Like the world itself was reacting. Behind him the drones moved closer. Weapons charging. Energy building at their cores. Target locked. Ready to fire. Ethan pushed himself faster. His legs burned. His breathing grew heavier. But he did not slow down. He could not. The hatchling's glow spread further now. Covering its small body. Soft light pulsing with each weak breath. Not aggressive. Not violent. But powerful. In a way that felt impossible. Then it happened. The first drone reached firing range. Its weapon flared. Energy gathering. About to release. And then, it stopped. Frozen. No explosion. No impact. Just still. Ethan did not slow. He kept running. But his eyes flicked back. Just for a moment. The drone hovered in place. Completely still. Its red eye flickering. Glitching. Then going dark. Another drone moved in. Then another. All of them locking on. All of them preparing to fire. And one by one, they stopped. Mid-motion. Like something invisible had grabbed them. Held them. Shut them down. The hum of their systems faded. Energy died. Lights dimmed. They dropped. Not crashing. Not violently. Just falling. Lifeless. Hitting the ground behind him one after another. The sound echoed through the tunnel. Unreal. Ethan slowed slightly. Not by choice. But because his body could not keep up with what his mind was trying to process. This was not normal. This was not possible. He looked down again. The hatchling was still glowing. Its body trembling slightly. Its eyes barely open. But something inside it had changed. Something had awakened. Not strength. Not yet. But control. The kind of control that did not need force. That did not need size or power. Just presence. Unseen. The lights in the tunnel flickered. Systems around him began to fail. Panels sparked. Doors froze mid-cycle. Energy levels dropped across the grid. Like the entire colony was losing balance. Because of this one small creature. Ethan stopped for half a second. Just enough to understand one thing. This was not just a hatchling. Not just something rare. Not just something valuable. This was something the aliens feared. Not because it was strong. But because it could not be controlled. He tightened his hold around it. Protective. Certain now. Whatever this was. Whatever it would become. It was no longer theirs. And as the last drone fell silent behind him. And the alarm struggled to stay alive. One truth became clear. They had not buried a monster. They had tried to bury something far more dangerous. Something that even in its weakest state could break their control without even trying. Days passed. But nothing in the colony felt the same anymore. At first it was small. Easy to ignore. A door that refused to open on time. A system that lagged for a second too long. Lights flickering in empty corridors. The commanders called it a glitch. Temporary failure. Something the machines would fix. But the machines did not fix it. Because it was not a simple failure. It was something deeper. Something spreading quietly through every level of the colony. Control was slipping. Slow at first. Then faster. Systems that once responded instantly now hesitated. Security grids lost connection for seconds at a time. Then minutes. Then entire sections went dark. The drones no longer moved with perfect precision. Some froze mid-patrol. Others shut down without warning. The commanders grew restless. Then nervous. Then afraid. Because nothing they did brought control back. And deep inside the lower tunnels, far from the main systems, far from command eyes, Ethan stayed hidden. He had found a forgotten maintenance sector. Use. Barely powered. The perfect place to disappear. He did not know how long he could stay there. But for now, it was enough. The hatchling stayed with him. It never left his side. Not for a second. At first it could barely move. Its body still weak. Its wings still damaged. Ethan spent hours carefully cleaning the dirt from its scales, checking its injuries, making sure it could breathe without struggle. He did not know what it needed. There were no guides, no instructions, just instinct and patience. The hatchling responded, slowly, but clearly. It began to recover. Not like normal creatures. Not at a normal pace. Each day it grew stronger. Its breathing became steady, its movements more controlled. Its eyes opened fully now. Where? It watched everything, not with fear, but with quiet understanding. To learn fast, too fast. It understood Ethan's movements, his voice, his presence. It stayed close to him, always within reach, sometimes resting against his arm, sometimes curled beside him, like it had decided, this human is mine. And Ethan never pushed it away. Not once. Because somewhere along the way, without words, without agreement, they had formed something. A bond. Not ownership. Not control. Something else. Something built on a single moment. When one chose to save, and the other chose to trust. But the colony did not forget. Search units were sent. Scanners moved through every level. Looking. Tracking. Trying to find what had been taken from them. And every time they came close, something happened. Not fire. Not destruction. Something quieter. Stronger. The hatchling would react. Its body would glow again. That same soft light. Steady. But, and then, systems would fail. Weapons would shut down before they could fire. Drones would freeze mid-air and fall like lifeless shells. Doors would lock or open at the wrong time. Routes would change. Paths would clear. Not chaos. Not random. Perfect control. Precise. Intentional. Like the colony itself was bending around them. Protecting them. Guiding them. The hatchling never attacked. Never showed anger. Never lashed out. It did not destroy. It chose. Every action felt measured. Every response exact. Only what was needed. Nothing more. And that made it more terrifying than any weapon. Because it meant one thing. It was aware. Not just alive. Not just powerful. Aware. The commanders finally understood. This was never about strength. Never about size or fire or destruction. This was about control. And the one thing they feared most was something they could not control. They had tried to bury it. Erase it before it could grow. Before it could become something greater. But they failed, because they did not understand one simple truth. Power does not always come from force. Sometimes it comes from choice. And that was something they could never take. Days turned into more. And the colony continued to fall apart slowly. Not destroyed, but changed, shifted, out of their hands. Ethan stood one day at the edge of the maintenance sector, looking out into the distant tunnels. The hatchling beside him now stronger. Standing on its own, small still, but no longer fragile. Its wings slightly open, still healing, but alive. Its eyes looked out into the same darkness. Focus. Waiting. Ethan did not know what would come next. Did not know how far this would go. But he knew one thing. This was no longer about survival. This was something bigger. Something that had already started. The hatchling moved closer to him again. Light brushing against his side. A silent presence. Reminder. And in that quiet moment, with the colony losing its grip, with fear spreading through those who once held power, The truth settled in. They did not bury a monster. They tried to bury a future. A future that would not obey. A future that would not kneel. And they failed. Because one human heard a cry. And chose to answer it. They tried to silence its first breath. But humanity made sure. It would roar.